It's not just your imagination. New houses are starting to feel a little bit off, and it's not just because of bad craftsmanship. That's kind of a different issue. Today, we're going to explore four major design changes that have taken hold over the last 10 to 15 years and explain why brand new homes can make you feel a little bit uneasy for reasons you can't quite explain, and some simple ways to fix it if you already live in one of these spaces. My name's Tim. I'm a realtor in Ottawa, and over the last 5 years, I've seen countless homes built both before and after 2010, and I've started to notice a pattern in those newer homes. They look absolutely fantastic on MLS, but they feel a little bit unsettling when you go to see them in person, and it's kind of strange. So let's get into why that is, because there's actual scientific reasons why this is the case. Let's start with what's going on above your head. Before 2010, it was pretty uncommon to see ceilings above 8 feet tall. But now with the newer homes from companies like Minto, Claridge, Mattamy, and Richcraft, 9 and even 10-foot ceilings are pretty standard in the higher-end newer builds. Psychologists call the feeling you get when entering a place with high ceilings the cathedral effect. They encourage expansive thoughts and make you think differently a little bit, which is true and is a good thing. But lower ceilings promote more comfort and more focus. Research from the University of Melbourne found that excessively high ceilings can actually make it harder for your brain to orient itself in the world, which leads to a feeling of restlessness and distraction, which is not something you want when you're at home. It's kind of like the difference between sitting in a comfortable restaurant with an intimate vibe and a good atmosphere and being in the middle of an airport. One makes you feel grounded and focused. The other makes you feel like you just need to be somewhere else. For an Ottawa example of this, walk into a typical 2020s built home in the Stittsville area, one of the Arcadia or Blackstone developments, for example. Step in, say something, and you're going to hear your voice echo right back at you. The room feels really impressive, but it doesn't feel grounded. Your furniture is going to look undersized in there, and you feel it instantly, even if you can't explain exactly why. For contrast, step into a 1960s built property in somewhere like Leslie Park or Briar Green with 8-foot ceilings. Everything's proportional, the floor plan is a little more chopped up and focused, and your nervous system settles down right away in a way that it doesn't in the newer builds. And this segues well into problem number 2, which is open concept floor plans. Open floor plans have been absolutely dominating since 2010. And again, they look really good, they photograph amazing, and on paper they look awesome. But they create something that psychologists and acoustic engineers call sound bleeding. Studies of open floor plans in office spaces show that they raise stress hormones and increase your level of mental fatigue by up to 25%. And that's just in an 8-hour workday. So if you're at home, you're being bombarded with this feeling all the time. Picture this, you're in your new build in somewhere like Orleans. The blender's going off, the TV is going, the kids are yelling, your pets are running around, and it's traveling through all the spaces. Maybe someone's trying to do a Zoom call off to the side. Your brain is wired to expect walls to dampen all of this different sound, but when it doesn't, you stay in a low level of heightened stress for the entire day. Problem number 3 has to do with lighting. Now here's one you might not have noticed consciously, but fewer, brighter light sources and bigger windows is something that's become much more common in the newer builds. Builders call this bringing the outside inside. But the problem is your circadian rhythm doesn't only respond to sunlight. Just like it responds to an iPad or a computer, it also responds to big light sources. Researchers in the Journal of Environmental Psychology found something interesting. People with multiple layered light sources like lamps, sconces, and windows reported significantly better sleep quality than those who relied on large windows and very large overhead LEDs, such as the ones that you're going to see in newer homes. For example, if you were to spend an evening in a newer Finley Creek build, one of those Cardell or Tartan homes, bright white LEDs, glossy finishes, reflective everything, it feels like a showroom and not somewhere that you want to sit down and relax. Your body doesn't know how to respond and it doesn't know how to wind down in that space. By contrast, older homes in places like Elmvale Acres with warm bulbs, different light levels, smaller rooms and softer corners, your nervous system is going to relax immediately in a way that it can't in those newer places. Problem number 4 is related to hallways, and more specifically the lack of hallways in some of the newer builds. They've almost completely disappeared, and you'll often hear developers and builders call this wasted square footage. But psychologists call them important transition zones. Basically, there are these mental zones that help you reset from your private life to your public life. Some call this the doorway effect, and it's very well documented. Crossing a threshold resets your working memory and puts you into a different mindset. It helps your brain transition to the next task. And if every room is bleeding into the next, there's no buffer areas that allow this to happen. This means less privacy, more tension, and basically no off switch at the end of your day. For an example of this in Ottawa, look in Mahogany in Emerald Meadows or Chapman Mills. You got a primary bedroom that's right off of your main living space. The busiest space in your entire house is right next to your most private space in the entire house. There's no hallway, no buffer, and no transition, which results in heightened stress. And I've seen this before where buyers will walk into a space like this and be like, this feels weird, but they won't be able to explain a concrete reason as to why. But we know now that this is probably one of the reasons that that feeling is happening. And by contrast, I can think of a separate occasion where I took a buyer to see a place that was built in the 50s or 60s after seeing a bunch of newer homes, which is what they thought they wanted from the photos, and they instantly light up and say that it feels warmer, even though it's smaller than what they thought they wanted. And again, they couldn't pinpoint why, but this is a big part of it, whether they're consciously aware of it or not. Now, if you're somebody who already lives in one of these newer floor plans, don't panic. There's plenty of ways to solve this and mitigate the issues without having to up and move right away. For ceiling height, you can do things like add pendant lights or wood beams to break up that space above your head. For the open floor plan and the sound bleeding, big area rugs and furniture will help to tamp that noise down a little bit. Curtains, wall decor, and bookshelves can also all be used to shield different spaces from the sound. For the lighting issues, you can add lamps of different heights and different bulb qualities. That will make the space feel quite a bit different. And for hallways, you can create your own kind of fake hallways using furnitures or dividers to rejig the floor plan so it makes something that feels a little bit more like you have a break between your public space and your more private spaces. Now, if you're a buyer who hasn't purchased a place yet, really pay attention to how spaces feel, not just how they look and how they presented in the photos. Photos don't capture acoustics and they don't capture light quality. It's always critical to see a place in person if you can, and listen to your gut if something feels off, even if you think the place should be a great fit for you. I can think of a couple specific occasions over the COVID years where I was helping buyers who were out of province or out of country and had to buy on short notice and didn't have a chance to come and see the places in person, even though I really urged them to. And they ended up getting here and saying something just like this. They were like, it feels a little bit different than I expected, but I can't explain why. I'm interested to hear if this has impacted your life or your home buying journey at all. If you live in a newer place or an older place, does this resonate with you? Does it make sense? Or does it all just kind of sound like pseudoscience? Thanks so much for taking the time to watch. Have a fantastic rest of your day and take care.